All right. All right, Tyrus, as we sit here today, first of all, I want to welcome you to our memoir class. Everyone I know is really anxious to hear from you. As we sit here today, your book, Just Tyrus, is #1 on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, who knows where else. Amazon is currently out of stock. It is.
Yeah, everyone's. I run Barnes and Noble sold out. Books a Million is sold out. Target sold out, and Walmart apparently will be soon. So, yeah, I guess we did it.
We did it. Well, to that end, Tyrus, the reason I wanted to chat with you for the class tonight, I want to get your feeling kind of in this moment. The book only came out within the last 24 hours. First of all, how does it feel to have this kind of response, this kind of reaction to a story that when we were working on it was so personal? There were times you weren't even sure what to share or how to share it, but you went through with it. So first of all, how does it feel to get this kind of reaction?
It's kind of, it's like a happy numb. I guess the best way to describe it. You do the work, and then you are scared to death of the work, because we had a lot of conversations where I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And you were like, hey, this it wouldn't be normal if you weren't feeling this. If you're really going to write about yourself or collaborate on something about yourself, and you leave it on the table and you are truthful with yourself and you don't embellish things, it's a scary moment. But then when people relate and they see that, it's a tremendous feeling of success. I mean, it's like it's surreal. It's the success of the book was, and I said it, and you always echoed this, was finishing the book and doing the work in the book to tell your story. And whether it's 100,000 people who buy it, read it, or 10, your story's passed on and you've accomplished it. So, I smirk and I say that I'm playing with house money, that all these people are buying the story. But the easy thing is it's not necessarily the things in my book that are where people have never heard of before, because there's people who've been through worse. But it's the message and the story you're telling that makes people tune in for more. Everyone tells a story, but there's always one or two of us, when they tell a story, somebody wants to hear it again, because if it's your truthfulness, your honesty, those things still matter to people, especially people who read, because they're experiencing it through you. And if in the middle of their experience they're going, oh, this is bullshit, I've read books like that. We've all read the book where the guy was the toughest guy on the planet, and people would say, oh my God, look at how strong and tall he is. Things that people don't say, especially in a fight. I'll leave him nameless, but there was a wrestler who I idolized as a kid, and he gave me a book, and it was a book like that, and you were just like, okay, yeah. You by chapter 2, I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, this guy's full of shit. So that's the thing about writing a memoir, is if you're not ready to be true to yourself, then you probably shouldn't write it, because people will see. And there's nothing worse than,
that's a great
if you're writing yourself, that is in itself is an insanity. And if you're writing a book for attention, a memoir is not it. If you're writing a book to understand yourself better, because I tell Chris all the time, this was therapy. Like, I'm a different person emotionally after doing this book, and it wasn't easy. Chris will be the first to tell you, I was no day at the beach. I had times where I wanted to take things out. At one point, I thought maybe just to go a whole different direction. I didn't want to talk about my childhood at all. But I had to stay the course, and now I'm glad I did it. And the extra success of the book is really just an added plus, but it's not necessary. Because people talk about, oh, you got a shot at New York Times bestseller, or, oh, hey, you're going to be this or that. But like I told, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dana, but she messaged me this morning, and she's like, you're going to be on the New York Times bestseller, and Amazon, this, that, whatever. And I said, I'm good with being the people's champ. And as long as I'm good with it, and my kids like it, and my friends enjoyed it, then it doesn't really matter. The rest of the stuff's all downhill. So there's no pressure. I don't feel any pressure in terms of like book sales and stuff like that. The interviews and stuff, I feel a little pressure there because I'm representing myself, so I need to bring my A game when representing yourself. So
You've been doing a great job with that. I mean, I think anybody who's been watching you, I think your authenticity and your honesty about why you did it. And the other thing I've noticed when you've been out talking about it is you're not afraid to acknowledge the painful parts of actually doing it. It's not all fun and games, right? For you,
no,
and the struggle is part of it, right? For the class here, I mean, talk about the fact that it's not all a pleasure cruise. You've got to be willing to go through that pain, right?
I mean, two things that you have to realize when you're writing your story, as a writer, is ultimately it's the opinion of someone who decides if your book gets made or not, unless you are able to produce it and publish it yourself. So there are people who are just not going to see things your way. And I went through that experience. I was dumped on my, let go, fired, whatever you want to call it. First book deal. And it brought me and Chris working together and with Post Hill. So it definitely worked out. But at the time I was, trying to write something for the first time. I didn't even write op-ed or blogs. I don't do any of that shit, and, but I could always tell I was always a great storyteller. Like I could hold the room with great stories. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to transition that into a book where reading the book was like talking to me. And obviously I could not accomplish that task without Chris's guidance and influence and experience and wisdom like that. It's just real. It's just real. When you have a great teacher and you follow the plan, good things happen. I mean, that's an old formula, but it still works. And this book is proof of that, and I had to humble myself at times. And there was a few times where he was trying to get messages to me and make things understand, or even tell me like, hey, that doesn't fit. That's something you have to save for a later date. And that's not easy to do when you're dealing with a strong personality like mine, but I am better for it. So this book really represents the best of me, and it's very therapeutic. Is like, and that's enough for people. And it should be. And you can't do it for them. You write for yourself. And if a publisher doesn't like it, and this publisher told me my book had no direction, and that I needed to practice, and come back to him in a couple of years, and he'll take a look at it. And if you read it, you understand that is literally the worst thing to say to me, because then I immediately start building the spite store. And in this case, I started putting together the spite book. So. And now I don't recommend this. As Chris said to me, do not punch down. But I did let him know that my book did have direction. And, the direction was number 1, which is up, I think. And ironically, this guy, his prize artist book came out the same day as mine. And they even took to try to have a Twitter war. But if you read my book again, grown ass man, don't have time for the internet. And they got close. They were at 10 and then dropped off the map. So, I mean, it was kind of a fight, but not really. But the point is that if you're true to yourself, sometimes the get back, you kill them with success. I didn't gloat. I didn't call him out publicly. I won't even repeat his real name because he doesn't deserve that. It's again, and it goes, the biggest message of this book, two things. 1, never accept no. And 2 is that you are judged on your reactions, not what's happening to you, but your reactions. And your reactions dictate where you go in life. And I could have blamed that, never wrote in the book. And every time someone asked me, I'm like, oh, publisher hated me, he didn't like me, he didn't want to support me because I was Black and worked for whatever reason I wanted to make up to keep me wallowing in that hole. And I just, for whatever reason, I'm not wired that way. So
one last thing here. I think when people write, sometimes it's easy to write about your good self, right? But writing about mistakes and kind of your darker self and things you regret, that's a hard thing to do. You did it. I mean, you wrote about some things that you went through that it would have been easy to leave out because they're not flattering, but it was important for you to own those things. And I think then show people how you grow from those things. Finally, you talk a little bit about what that process is like to address the really hard aspects of your story and not run from the things that may not be flattering.
One of the things I said early in the book is I listed all the things I've been, and they were some are positive, you know, I'm a wrestler, this, but I also said I'm a liar, and I was a thief, and I don't think I'm a thief. No, I never did really, but the point was is like I listed the things that I wasn't, that I was a has been and never was, lazy, um, and I talk about not respect. I talk about using stereotypes and using my weaknesses to justify my situation, and that in itself is it's not easy to do. Calling yourself a liar, it's not easy to do, and showing examples of it, you know, and showing your poor judgment and not sugarcoating it or creating a villain, because we like to do that. You know, you create a villain, so therefore you're not responsible for the things that happen to you. And again, I've been through, I've been called every name in the book, and I, you know, somebody calling me a name or talking about the color of my skin or my size or whatever the case may be, if that's what ends me, then I was brittle to begin with, and I have to look at what made me so weak on the inside of myself that I would allow someone's opinion of me to rule me. So talking about that, and I show examples of where I did. It's not
Big
you
time.
just don't wake up one day and say, no one's words are going to bother me again. And when you're telling your story, you have to show that development and that change. And I think I did a good job of that, because when you embrace the failure, and that's an important thing, you have to embrace the failure. Everyone can tell the winning story. Everyone can tell the time they hit the home run. Everyone can tell the time that they got the girl at the bar or whatever your moment in the sun is. But you got to talk about the rain so people appreciate the sun. And you remember how important it is that when you are in the sun, to put the sun smile on your face, because we take things for granted and we tend to ignore what got us there. And no road is not paved with mistakes, pain, and failure. None. And we need to remember that. And that's how people like you. People are like, damn, I relate. I'm going through the same thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to, you don't have to be on TV for this. You don't have to be, but I guarantee you there's a guy fighting to become the manager of Walmart who can relate to what I'm talking about, because struggle is struggle. Now mine has more bells and whistles on it, but it's the same struggle.
Tyrus, beautifully said. Just Tyrus is the book, your book, our book. I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of you. We have more of this in us, I think, to put out there in the world.
Yeah, stay tuned.
But congratulations, my friend, and thanks for talking to the group tonight. I'm sure everybody appreciated this, and means a lot to me too, buddy. Thank you.
Good luck.